Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we've got some serious rumour killers on that AEW mystery debutante.
But I can tell you that the mystery debutante is a male, as confirmed by Tony Khan.
Are the Hurt Business looking for a female member in WWE?
And Matt Hardy reveals why his broken character didn't work in AEW. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Really enjoying our pronunciation of the word debutante in this video.
Yeah.
Please appreciate that. It's probably well wrong, but who cares? You know, we are the wrong boys after all. Okay, let's kick things off with some rumour killers on this AEW surprise. We all saw it on Wednesday night, right? Paul White showing up and going, hey, Chiefs, there's going to be a Hall of Fame worthy person arriving at Revolution, debuting. You're not going to see who it is coming. Yeah, it's going to blow your mind. They're going to be a huge asset, all of this stuff. A bunch of people's names who were brought up included CM Punk, Batista, and Christian. We can rule those three names out for now to a certain extent. It varies from story to story. So one person we can definitely say, okay, it's not you, it is Christian. Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. has confirmed with WWE that Christian is under WWE contract. Can't be him then, if that's the case. Captain Charisma cannot be showing up. You know, we know Christian's not averse to a wrestling jump. He went over to TNA back in the day and stuff. He's not, afraid of doing stuff like this, but he's under contract. It's pretty straightforward. The other two people, okay, so CM Punk and Batista, they've made these claims on Twitter. Batista tweeted the following yesterday. This is a riot. They're going to have to come up with another word that's used specifically for professional wrestlers who actually mean it when they say they are retired. Currently, the word retired has zero credibility by pro wrestling standards. He was responding to somebody here who's mentioned that Paul White said the word evolution in his announcement, in his promo this week. Obviously, putting a big X over those lines. And Chick Magnet Phil himself, CM Punk, tweeted the following yesterday. He did a Q&A on Reddit. He said, let's try this again, Q&A time, use my hashtag, and no, it's not me. He also replied to somebody here called Dave Schilling, who tweeted CM Punk and said, since it's not new, who do you think would be the best new addition to the AEW roster and why? CM Punk just said, I think they should focus on who they have. So the Punk and Batista ones, pinch of salt, pinch of salt, pinch of salt, because if you're in that spotlight and you are the surprise, you're not going to come out and say, yes, it's me, buddy, I'm the guy, let's ruin everything. But at the same time, Punk is usually pretty open and honest. He didn't have to do this Q&A. He could have just not tweeted for a few days, but maybe that would have got people talking a little bit more. Either way, probably not Christian. Almost certainly not Christian. Probably not Punk and Batista, perhaps. Leaves a short list, but I'm still excited about figuring out and seeing who this is going to be.
Yeah, I've got to say, I love all the speculation online about this. I mean, we don't have time for me to go through all of the names that were mentioned. Rob Van Dam, Brock Bloody Lesnar. There's another name that we're going to get to in one of the Twitter questions. There is a whole host of names who it could be, and it just adds to the excitement around Revolution on Sunday night, especially because I think they've got two other big surprises, or at least one surprise entrant for that ladder match and one surprise entrant for the Casino Tag Battle Royal. So, yeah, just really looking forward to Revolution on Sunday night. And, you sense, we talked a lot about this on our work chat yesterday, they wouldn't have built this up if it was, no offence to anyone whose names are going to be mentioned in the comments of like, oh, imagine if it's so-and-so. But it when they say Hall of Fame worthy and they push this strongly, it's going to be a big name, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, it kind of has to be, right? Particularly with Cody on the media call saying, listen, we're not going to bait and switch people with our TV and stuff. You have to live up to that now, and anything other than like the biggest name imaginable is going to be a letdown. So they have to an extent set themselves up for failure. But if they can deliver like a massive name here, they will have earned it, I guess.
Yeah. Another names you can rule out, I suppose. AJ Lee, Trish Stratus, Tessa Blanchard, because Tony Khan on AEW's Unrestricted podcast went into more detail about Paul White's Hall of Fame-worthy announcement on Dynamite on Wednesday night. Khan saying, Paul White told the world, and it's true, there's going to be a big star who signed with AEW and he's coming here. It's absolutely true what Paul said. This Sunday, a major star in the world of wrestling, a huge star, is going to come and sign a multi-year contract with AEW at the pay-per-view. I can confirm what Paul said is true. And in addition to all that, Khan said, quote, he is coming here. So yes, it is going to be a male star. Doesn't really help us. It just rules out 50% of the people that were being speculating online, Andy.
Yeah, exactly. No Trish, no Tessa. Tessa was one that was just popping off in my mentions constantly. Yeah, not Tessa herself, obviously, going, "Hey, it's me." Loads of people suggesting that it might be her. I don't think AEW will necessarily actually touch Tessa, as skilled as she is, and who her father is, and he's in the company and everything else, but she'd earn a contract on skill alone. Just the controversies, I feel like they are a little bit too much for a company like AEW, and indeed WWE. Look at all the people they've signed recently. Look at all the women they've signed without bringing Tessa in since she became a free agent. So I think she'll be out there. She'll probably have to go down a different route. I think she'll end up in Mexico, personally. But yeah, man, again, we're just throwing darts blindly at the moment, aren't we? We're hoping for a bullseye, but usually the dart is landing on the wire, coming back and landing in our eyeball. I don't want to go blind on Sunday night, so I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm excited, and it's created a bit of buzz as well, so that's good too.
Exactly, yeah, can't wait for that on Sunday night.
All good stuff indeed. Now, Robert Lashley, the WWE champion, he has been interviewed by Complex, Cal of Complex, talking a bunch of different things, bunch of different topics relating to his career. One of them was the Hurt Business, of course, which is, I know, the best stable in wrestling at the moment, certainly in American wrestling. I think the guys absolutely rule. They got the best manager, they got the best world champion. Is Bobby Lashley the best world champion? Kenny Omega's really good. But I digress. They're all great, love them all, great lads. Will they add a female member? Well, that's been a question for a while. We've spoken about it. It feels like 2 or 3 times on the news recently. And this was one of the topics of conversation in this interview. Bobby Lashley said the following: "We want dominance and a legacy. That's what we want." Another thing that we talked about, we don't even know if we will go there yet, but I'll throw this out there. Is there a female that's going to join the group? We thought about that. We definitely have some names, and if we do go that route, I think we're all in agreement of who we would love to have a part of us. Can't really say right now, but that's something. So we're trying to play with it. We're coming at all different angles. So yeah, man, it would be a really interesting addition because it would allow the Hurt Business to go after another title, right? They've got the tag titles and the world title already. Why not do the belt collecting gimmick around the stable? MVP's injured at the moment, otherwise I would totally advocate for him going back after the United States title. Yeah, it could be interesting. We spoke about Rhea Ripley as a potential person for this role because she's just such a badass. We spoke about Shayna Baszler because she's such a badass. I think there's a lot of people who have the attitude and the kind of badassery required for this stable. So it's interesting. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I personally would love to see a female in the Hurt Business, and let us know in the comments who you'd like to see be a part of that team. But yeah, like you say, Rhea, maybe not Rhea. I feel like Rhea needs to break out on her own, but in terms of a reinvention of Shayna Baszler, having her become part of the Hurt Business and just wreck dudes whilst MVP commentates on it, yeah, I'm totally here for that. So absolutely, like you say, a really enjoyable stable at the moment, and just considering where we were, a month ago, where they were inexplicably infighting despite holding loads of gold and dominating dudes. Yeah, that was weird. Good stuff. And so happy to see Bobby Lashley's champion, and excited to see where they go on the road to WrestleMania with that. Let's conclude by talking about Matt Hardy, though. He's been talking to APP's Alex Bies. Yeah.
I have no idea.
He's been talking to them about his broken character and why it didn't really work in All Elite Wrestling, and it makes a lot of sense, his explanation for it all. Basically saying it doesn't translate in the current environment, that being one of the ongoing Global Bastard, where a lot of people are enjoying the shows from home rather than in person. Matt says, Broken Matt Hardy is a very audience-friendly character. It needs a crowd, it needs an audience. It was just not on the cards to be Broken Matt Hardy because his debut, as we all remember, was in the first ever empty arena era, pandemic-era show, the first empty arena show that AEW had. Broken Matt Hardy is very theatrical, and it doesn't translate as well to the current AEW audience that sits at home and watches on TV, because I've realised that this is a much younger audience. It's a much more sports-centric type audience. Yeah, it's a shame that his character didn't work out for him, Andy, but it's nice to see that he recognised that, and I'm really enjoying his big money Matt stuff he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, he pivoted and he adjusted and he came up with something else that works a little bit better for him in this environment. Matt Hardy's always been that adaptable guy, right? He's always been able to change to his circumstances and get himself back over. He's a very creative guy. So it's no surprise to see him just... Like, a lot of wrestlers may have just persisted with that regardless when it wasn't really clicking, and that would have been bad. Matt Hardy's a smart dude indeed. The broken gimmick was tough to receive, I think, in empty arenas.
Yeah.
I think he's right. The teleporting was weird, but it's impossible to tell how over something is or how over it isn't at the moment because there's no crowds. We have no measurement for that. And the broken character didn't really resonate. Big Money Matt's a lot more suitable for these circumstances. Maybe he'll bring the broken gimmick back, or maybe it's best left in the past. Who knows? We will find out when crowds return.
Oh, God, can't wait for that. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course. If you want to get in touch with us, first question today comes from Jake, who says, with Adam Pearce screwing over NXT this week, do you think this could be the start of a build towards a match where we get Adam Pearce versus William Regal?
I love William Regal. He's legitimately like one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, of any era. I think he's awesome. He's so nasty in the ring. But I think the guy's had too much physical punishment. I think he's had too many operations, too many injuries. He's been on the shelf too long. I do not see him coming out of the ring ever again.
No, exactly. I rewatched that. Is it Gorilla Position? They had like an hour and a half interview with William Regal on YouTube from a few years ago.
That's right.
I rewatched that a while back and thought, oh God, I'd love to see one more match for him, but I don't see it happening. And I also don't understand why they've booked, not to tread on anyone's toes at whatculture.com who may be reporting this, why they've booked another tag team title defense between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at Fastlane. What? Weird. I'd like to see it, Jake, but I don't see it happening. Second question today comes from Rude E, who says, morning, dudes. What are your thoughts on Paul's announcement for Revolution being the world's strongest man himself? There he is, Mark Henry. Reports say that he's plans to get back in the ring. He's close friends with Paul. Also, Benji says hi. First of all, of course, good dog, Benji. But what do you reckon? Mark Henry, could he be the Hall of Fame worthy name?
I think potentially he's the guy who could realistically show up. I think he's one of the more realistic options you could point towards. Mark Henry is in the Hall of Fame. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame, so he is Hall of Fame worthy. Former world champion. The Hall of Pain run was awesome.
Oh.
Had a lot of career highlights over the years. The thing that gives me pause with Mark Henry is what's Mark Henry coming into AEW to do would be my question there, because he hasn't wrestled in a long time. Before he kind of stepped away from the ring a little bit, his schedule was dramatically reduced. Obviously, Paul White's only going to be doing the odd match here and there, but do we need another person in that role in AEW when you've already got Sting as like this part-time wrestler as well? He's there full-time on screen. I'm sure Mark Henry would be a great guy to have, like, as a personality. He's got loads of personality, and I'm sure he'd be a great guy to have backstage as well. I would just be dubious because I don't know how he would be utilised. I'd love to be proved wrong. But I think unless you're bringing in someone who's going to be like a big spectacle wrestler at this stage, even if they are like a Hall of Fame worthy part-time wrestler or non-wrestler, it's going to be a bit of a disappointment. So they need to be careful. No shade on Mark Henry, who I love. Mark Henry, he's great.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. We're big fans of Mark Henry here at WhatCulture. I still think it's one of the biggest missed opportunities WWE had, not putting the world title on him when he had the whole "I got a lot left in the tank" thing with John Cena. Just spectacular, that fake-out retirement thing. Last time we saw Mark Henry, am I right in thinking he was hopping along and getting abused by Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw?
I think he was, yeah.
So, I don't know. I wouldn't be annoyed if it was Mark Henry. I wouldn't feel shortchanged, but I feel like...
No.
Yeah, I feel like there's better options out there. And like you say, I don't know how much he would add to AEW. And I also think that AEW may recognise that, and they probably wouldn't have overhyped this arrival if it was someone like Mark Henry. But who knows? We'll have to watch Revolution on Sunday to find out. Final question today comes from Dustin Sensenig. Oh, great to hear from you again, Dustin, who says, should the WWE bring back the $1 million championship belt and give it to Cameron Grimes?
Why the hell not? Screw it. Why the hell not? We spoke on the prospect of him doing a Ted DiBiase gimmick. I don't think he should do that. I think he should be his own thing. But if you have an element of Ted DiBiase's character, why not? It'd be funny. The skits would be hilarious. The problem with this character, this Cameron Grimes thing at the moment, is that he's too damn entertaining, right? He's too entertaining. That's an issue because Vince McMahon is going to look at it and go, hey, pal, come up to the main roster and hang out with Otis and be a goober. But yeah, why not? Let's do it. Might as well go all in, right?
Yes. What was he trying to do this week on NXT? Buy the CWC and rename it the Cameron Grimes Arena or Auditorium or something? Did enjoy that. Did enjoy also him getting chinned and throwing money in the air, but he still won. So there's still that as well. Yeah, I'd like to see something like this. The ongoing feud he's got seemingly with Ted DiBiase. Badmouthed him again on NXT. Who knows? But yeah, he needs something to defend and hopefully he doesn't get ruined by the main roster just yet. Let's move on to today's and finally, in a little nod to the legend that is Josh Alexander, who gives us some advice we can all take into the weekend. Tweeting overnight, every time I think of cheating on my diet, I just look at a picture of Kota Ibushi. Words to live by, Andy Murray.
Yeah, Kota Ibushi is an absolute machine. But look at Josh Alexander as well. You couldn't pinch a millimeter of fat off that guy's body. He's an absolute animal. Personally, when I look at these guys, I feel really depressed and eat more cake. So there we go. Two different types of people moving in two different types of directions. One is a lot healthier than the other. Just Googling, because I always am astonished by this. Kota Ibushi, 38 years old. What? Yeah, bonkers. I know. It's insane. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Got the SmackDown preview to come later. And of course, Wrestle Culture with a hashtag bloody good quiz. You can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for, hey, by the way, it's tugboat. Follow me on Twitter at Andy Wilmore. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.